So I've been posting a lot of Apex Rush content lately, and it has not been performing well, which I expected. I wasn't surprised. I've learned a number of things on this channel. One is that gameplay videos just don't do that well. They're pretty hard to make succeed. To have a gaming channel in terms of, uploading a Let's Play or, just vibing on the internet, it's hard to attract an audience for that. Doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just hard. You got to be consistent. You got to have a personality. You got to have something that people come back to. I don't like this, actually. I really don't like this saying, you got to have a personality. I think that's actually a really poor framing of you have to be somebody that's entertaining. Like, that's essentially what they're saying. You have to be entertaining. It's a soft way of saying, entertain me. And, if you look at a lot of streamers, the ones that do become the most popular are usually the ones that make you laugh. Like, I'm not saying that's all of them, but a lot of the big ones, I can definitely say, like, they have made me laugh numerous occasions because they're playing up on their personality. Like, it's not so much their personality, it's more of a character they're embodying. It's hard to say that they're truly being themselves because, in a sense, they are being a portion or a part of themselves and not the whole self they feel in that moment, which is something that is not seen so often on YouTube because it's hard to continue to be yourself when you feel like you don't get results from being yourself. You feel like you have to change and be somebody else. And that's challenging. Because a lot of creators who start out on this platform really want to make it big. There's like well over 100 million creators on YouTube, grinding away on the algorithm, making videos, trying to get that lotto ticket so they can make the big bucks. And, it's kind of funny in a way because once everyone realized that, you can make YouTube a career, or YouTube can be a career if you get lucky and you're good at it, then it seemed like everyone jumped on the bandwagon and it was like a gold rush. And there's just content like just spewing out left, right, and center. It still feels that way. It still feels like there's just so much content you can watch and it's endless. And I actually don't even watch that much content anymore. I mean, that actually probably isn't true. I feel like I don't, but I probably do. I'll look at all these thumbnails and I see thumbnail after thumbnail after thumbnail. I'm like, God, yeah, no. I don't want to click on any of these. And it's not that like it's a judgment on any of those creators' videos. I'm sure a lot of those videos are actually really good and probably really interesting. But it's overwhelming. There's just too much. Like, there's just too much like mental hijacking in the social media space. It's kind of exhausting. Like, it's exhausting being on the internet. Not just uploading videos. That's a different type of exhaustion, but just consuming content itself is exhausting. Especially when, like, there's other things in your life that you would probably get a lot more value from. I use the word value a lot because it's kind of like a blanket statement. It's so useful for so many different terms. I don't love using that word so much. But when I say value, I mean, like, you could be doing something like working on a skill, like learning how to play guitar or drums or a piano, or you could be learning how to paint. You could be learning how to learn Blender if you want, or a host or range of different things you could be possibly creative with in the time space that you are spending watching content. Sometimes watching content about how to do these things themselves. Now, it's useful to have a video on how do I play, a certain set of chords on guitar so I can play a certain song. That's a really useful video. But I did come across this idea today that, you can get stuck in the space of constantly watching tutorials on how to do things, thinking you're learning. But if you're not actually doing the action itself, the action of creating or practicing, watching the tutorials, you're just spinning your wheels. It's the same thing as reading a book for knowledge. Books are really useful. I love books. I have a fair collection of books and I enjoy reading them. But, let's say you want to solve a problem in your life and you decide to read like 10 different books on how to solve this problem before you even begin to tackle the problem, which would really require some action on your part, unrelated to books, in order to begin working on that problem. Had you forgone the books entirely and just started working on the problem, you probably would have solved the problem without ever needing to read those 10 books. Now, that doesn't mean don't read. I'm not saying that. Books can help you solve a problem. Let's say you're working on a problem already. You are taking the action to solve the problem. Reading a book as a supplementary piece of material may give you some ideas on solving the problem. But ultimately, what actually matters is the action you take towards solving the actual problem, and not pretending to solve the problem by reading lots of books about solving that problem. And I think this is a trap a lot of us can get into, because it feels good, like you're solving the problem by reading a book about solving the problem. It feels good. It feels like, I'm making progress. But in reality, you're not. You may have a little bit more information about how to solve the problem, but you haven't solved the problem yet because you haven't started working on the problem. And this is why I see advice as well as pretty much similar to like reading a book. It might be useful information. It might not. Oftentimes, and I've found this very frequently, oftentimes when people give you advice, they're actually giving themselves advice. And the advice wasn't really intended for you. Sounds kind of funny, because why would someone write a comment to give someone advice if they thought, they might be thinking, I can help this person. But that might be true. There are some cases where that is in fact true. However, oftentimes that information they are trying to convey is often information that they should have likely taken themselves in their life, and they might not have. Or maybe they delayed and they are now, and they're realizing it. And so they have a very hard way of dropping some brutal truths on you that show you what it's really like and how you should be doing things. You should be living life like me. And I find it kind of funny because, oftentimes, it's advice that they probably need to apply themselves, or maybe they did finally learn to apply it themselves, and it took a little late. It took a little while. Maybe not. It feels like advice is often dressed up as some helpful piece of information that's made specifically for you. But here's the thing about advice. Advice sucks ass. It sucks tremendous ass. Because no one knows you like you do. Nobody. I don't know you like you do. Your best friend doesn't know you like you do. Nor does your family know you like you do. Because you are spending all of the time with yourself. All the time. All the experiences that you have had have not been shared by anybody else. The best person who can give you advice is often yourself. And usually you already know the answer to the question to solve the problem. you usually already know what you need to do. It's pretty rare that you do need advice, at least when it comes to life advice. I guess if you're completely lacking common sense, then yes, you might need some advice. But there's a lot of situations and problems where like your gut feeling can tell you what the best course of action is, and oftentimes listening to it is usually the right way to go about something. Many of the times I have not listened to my gut, I have regretted it and wish I had. And the times I did listen to it, I looked back on it later and later on gathered more information and found out, oh, I was right. That gut feeling told me something. I think this is just a note to be careful about advice you're given. And this is advice itself. So, I mean, what is it? The dragon that's eating itself, the snake that's eating itself, Ouroboros. Like you can throw this advice away if you want to. I don't care. This is just a video on the internet. There is no obligation for you to stay and watch, or to listen, or to take this advice. It's just here, and if you like the thought, then maybe it's something worth listening to. If you don't, then throw it away and go your merry way. But there is some advice that just isn't worth listening to, and it isn't tailored for you. Someone might give you advice on a career path, or who you should and should not be friends with, and ultimately it's up to you to decide. But if you do sit in that decision for a little while, if you just give it some thought yourself, without anyone else's thought or input, usually you can arrive at the decision that was probably best for you, if you give yourself some time to think about it. If you rush to the decision, then, well, maybe it's going to be a little bit of a different outcome. But usually what you have is already within you. Oftentimes, solving the problem is doing the thing you already know you need to do. You already know what it is. You might just be pretending like you don't, but you know what it is. And working on it is action.